People smuggling should be viewed as a global security threat similar to terrorism.
After another bumper load of small boat channel crossings today, more than 5,500 illegal migrants have now arrived in Britain since Keir Starmer's government swept to power on July the 4th.
Oh, PM Starmer's about to turn things round now, Mr. Leo. Have a listen to him.
As I say, we're going to treat people smugglers like terrorists. So we're giving our new Border Security Command an additional £75 million of new funding on top of the £75 million we've already committed. This will support a new organised immigration crime intelligence unit, hundreds of new investigators and intelligence officers, backed by state-of-the-art technology. We're also investing a further £58 million in our National Crime Agency, including strengthening its data analysis and intelligence capabilities.
Oh, some very hard-hitting and groundbreaking strategies there, no doubt, especially when you add the planned fast-tracking of suspected people smugglers. All good, right?
£75 million a package. It's going to law enforcement agencies. It's for paying for things like advanced maritime drones. I mean, this is basic. This is so obvious. We've had guests, Chris Parry, former NATO commander Chris Parry, has been on this show for years saying you need to be using drones. You spot where the boats are coming. The police go to the beach where the boats are. They won't even get launched. I mean, it's not. It really isn't rocket science, this stuff.
Ah, right. Well, at least the fast-tracking through the courts of suspected people smugglers will help, won't it?
How many people smugglers would you be catching in order to confidently say, yeah, we're going to have a fast-track system. They're going to be coming in and out like robbers' dogs, one after the other, night and day. Those courts will be open from noon till night. In and out they will come. People smuggler 1, 2, 3, 4. 20, 30 a day. Come on, Keir. I don't think we've caught one in 10 years, mate. And that's with every intelligence department from all European countries, particularly northern European countries, France, Belgium, the Netherlands, areas such as that have had their eye on this one. Us as well. 6 loads of government, 6 lots of Home Secretaries, 6 lots of police force, 6 lots of border force, 6 lots of military intelligence, and no one has caught a people smuggler yet. But Keir's going to fast-track them through the courts. That kind of sounds like he's going to be catching a bagful of these merchants on a daily basis. Really?
Well, if we can't actually stop them coming to our shores, then at the very least we do have to invest in the processes of trying to trace their background and make sure that they are law-abiding citizens with something to contribute to the country. Doesn't that make sense?
You cannot actually be going through the process of, trying to find out where these people are and then sort of, trying to fiddle around the edges. Here's a little bit more money for very specific cases. $500,000 might pay for the salary, maybe 2 very high-profile QCs. I'm not quite sure. If you're not getting cooperation with your partners in Europe, you need to have a zero-tolerance approach. And I'm afraid, and I know people in the Labour Party think that it's against their human rights, that means arresting and deporting people, preferably within 48 hours, a week at max.
Well, I don't think you can knock the government's plan to send police to Iraq, say, to literally stop illegal immigrants before they even get on the plane.
Sending people to Iraq, sending police officers to Iraq, what on earth is that going to achieve, realistically? This is not a country where, first and foremost, it's not a country where they're particularly enamoured with, members of the British government as it is to begin with. I'm not quite sure what the idea is. I could understand, for instance, sending people to Albania, a country where the government might want to cooperate with us, but really, a place the size and scale of the migration that's happening from Iraq, the solution is just to deport them. You just put them on a plane and you send them straight back. That is the message, not a social media campaign, not 500 grand for a couple of extra lawyers here or there. That's not actually going to fix any of this.
Oh, OK. Hey, another thing that nobody can dispute is that hotel owners themselves must hate it when the government forces them to turn their hotels over wholesale to asylum seekers and refugees.
The Mail have got a story on page 4. The king of the migrant hotels, former Caravan Park boss Graham King, aptly named, who holds the Home Office contract for accommodating asylum claimants across southern England and Wales, made £60 million last year.
Those profits are up from 60 million. Up from £60 million the year before. I mean, extraordinary. And of course, this is taxpayers' cash, Mike. This is your cash. It's my cash.
It's our money.
Well, I bet you your bottom dollar that the government is fully committed to stopping the practice of taking over hotels for the purposes of accommodating asylum seekers and refugees. They know it looks bad to the public. They know it's not on.
I don't mind the likes of Graham King making a few bob, but this is, £90 million from this crisis. It needs
and
to
they're looking,
stop.
and Labour Party have already said, the government have said they're looking for more hotels.
Yes.
And they're looking for more accommodation,
And
so
they-
even more money is going to be spent.
And they promised to stop the hotels. This was one of their pledges, to stop the hotels within a year. And now it's looking like their use is going to go on for at least 3 years.
I know, unbelievable.
Oh. Well, I personally wish we could just literally dump all failed asylum seekers, specifically in Rwanda. And hey, it would be so annoying if, for instance, the European Convention on Human Rights were to stand in our way of doing that.
It's all very well fast-tracking them, but what are you going to do with them? Are you going to deport them? Are you going to keep them in some kind of holding cell? Are you going to put them into prison where there isn't any room? What are you going to do with them? Because we still can't deport people, it seems to me.
We're part of the ECHR, and the courts can't do it. The courts say they can't do it, and that's why Robert Jenrick, when he bid to become Conservative leader, said actually we needed to leave the ECHR. This is the same Keir Starmer who, on the second day in office, decided to ditch the Rwanda deportation plan. That plan is, of course, now being looked at seriously by some other European countries, including Italy.
Well, Mr Usherwood, if you're harbouring any hopes of us leaving the ECHR, dream on.
We will never withdraw from the European Convention on Human Rights. Indeed, we're proud of the role the UK played in creating that convention.
Now, Mr Usherwood, you might recall that just now I said that I wish we could just literally send all failed asylum seekers to Rwanda, and that it would be really annoying if that same ECHR got in our way of doing that. It doesn't. You may or may not be aware that in 2023, the UK Supreme Court deemed that the Rwanda policy was unlawful because they felt that Rwanda wasn't a safe country. Article 3 of the ECHR says that a country can't send asylum seekers to a place where their life or freedom would be at risk. But the court said in that same judgment that if Rwanda were to become as safe as then Prime Minister Rishi Sunak insisted it already was, there would be no legal obstacle to a policy such as the Rwanda policy. So, as long as the target country for asylum seekers and refugees is sufficiently safe, the ECHR doesn't actually block immigration control strategies like the Rwanda policy. Who does block those strategies, though, is PM Starmer himself. Right, come on, let's have a set of facts, stats and figures showing what a problem illegal immigration is to the safety and prosperity of the UK public.
Why are we not protecting ourselves? Why are we just letting anybody come in? And all these idiots in charities who say look after these people. These people are criminals. They're breaking into this country, and we're paying billions of pounds every year. We could we'll fall out with France, but it's France's fault and the rest of the European dictatorship. Some of which, by the way, like Germany, are beginning to realise the problem that it is posing.
Yeah, well, I completely agree with you. The definition of a nation state, the definition of a country, is its borders. And if you cease to enforce your borders, if you're unable to prevent people illegally crossing that line...
Well, unwilling, not unable. They're unwilling.
Unwilling. You're absolutely right. They're unwilling. Because, you try crossing the border between Pakistan and India. It's the surest way to get a bullet in your head. And we don't seem to have the political will or courage to protect the United Kingdom.
I'm not suggesting we shoot everyone.
No, I'm not suggesting it either.
Yeah.
But anyone gets in here and they're covering up, they're trying to cover up the crimes done by these people. They're trying to cover, other European countries are putting out these figures and they're covering it up here for obvious reasons. Because anyone gets in, doesn't matter whether they're criminals before, and we've had terrorist groups saying we're going to use this to send in terrorists. So how many thousands of terrorists could we have now?
We know that.
Absolutely. And you make the point about the money. Every illegal migrant that enters the country costs the Exchequer about £50,000 a year. So 30,000 people so far this year is £1.5 billion per annum.
Yes.
Perhaps in perpetuity, frankly.
£500,000 if they get to, I think, 70 or 80 years old, and £1 million if they get to... It will cost
per head.
Per head.
So just think about that. And put that in the context of the winter fuel benefits being removed, the winter fuel allowance. You know, they could have allowed our elderly all the money that they were going to get, because that was meant to save $1.5 billion, by simply enforcing our borders. And last year we spent $7 billion. So that bill on illegal migrants of $7 billion last year, next year is going to be $8.5 billion plus.
Do you wonder how we've even ended up in this situation of such high levels of illegal immigration? Well, we'll cover that in another video. If you've enjoyed this video, I recommend you to watch this one next. I'll meet you there.